Hello, wonderful teachers. Welcome back to another enriching episode of Teaching Tales. I'm your host, Michelle Dennis, and today we have an extraordinary teacher with us who is shaping the lives of young kids. But before we dive into our conversation, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Suraasa to stay on top with our incredible episodes. So, without further ado, join me in extending a warm welcome to our very special guest, Miss Kaniso Maviza. With her extensive experience in the United Arab Emirates and South Africa, Kaniso has made significant contributions to special needs education and years teaching. Even after being a full time teacher with a lot on her plate, Kaniso has made time for us for the podcast, and we're so excited for our conversation. Welcome to the show, Kaniso.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. It's an honor to be with you this morning.
We're so excited to have you on board, and we have so many questions, so many fun questions, so many interesting questions that we'd like to ask you today. So, how about we get started?
Yay.
All right.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sikhanyiso, and I'm from Zimbabwe. I am a teacher currently. I'm doing intervention from KG to grade 5, and I work in American International School in Dubai.
I was going through your background and noticed something fascinating. You were just going to spill that secret, and that is you started your career as a child and youth care worker in Limpopo, South Africa, right? So, after working
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
youth care worker for more than a year, you switched to being an early years teacher in 2015. Like, can you share what led you to this transition?
So when I moved to Dubai, I tried looking for youth work and all that. So it was kind of hard. I remember before I came to Dubai, I was like, my husband was like, Scar, when you come here, I'm sure you're going to be working as a teacher because your profession, it's so hard to find here. So I was like, no, I will never be a teacher. Me? Never. I love working with vulnerable kids and all that stuff. And then when I came here, I was like, okay, in a year or two. And then that's when I was like, one of my friends was like, Scar, why don't you try the nursery? And I was like, let me see, because I haven't worked with little ones and I have never been teaching. Youth work and teaching is totally different. So that's when I was like, okay, let me try. And thank God for the lady who gave me that chance. She was like, okay, I see you don't have any experience working as a teacher, but because you've got a psychology background, I'm sure you work well with the young ones. I was like, okay, let me give it a try. And I remember very well my first class. It's just one hilarious story because I didn't know what to do. I was not even trained to do the job on that nursery. So it was more like a training on the job, you know. So they gave me the class, and there I was in the class with 2-year-olds. And I'm like, okay, so how am I going to start? And then I was like, okay, the only way out, let's just be playful. So I started playing around with them, crawling with them,
Wow.
and yeah, I had to pull myself down to their level. Like,
Okay.
now, Scar, you are a 2-year-old. This is the only way for you to survive in this environment. So we started doing the songs. I started doing some research as well. So that really helped me, like, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to do with these little ones. And that's my story of how I started being a teacher. I didn't have any any background of teaching, nothing, because I only had, like with youth work, we only had to do workshops, and I was dealing with older kids, and there I was thrown to the short men like, you are now dealing with 2-year-olds. Oh my. But it was a really, looking back to it, it was a good decision that I made, because now I was able, the young person in me, it just got revived, and I enjoyed working with them. Their hugs, whenever you walk in, they're like, "Hi, miss." That kind of a thing. You don't get it when you're doing youth work, because with youth work, you are dealing with defiant behaviors from, the young people, or
Yeah.
you are dealing with young people with lots of emotions.
Sure.
But with these ones, it was pure love, pure joy, and all. And then that's how I started my teaching journey.
Wow, that's wonderful, fun, and what do you say? All scary at the same time, right? Being thrown at the deep end,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
knowing how to do something. It's like you had to learn to swim without knowing how to swim.
Oh, yes. Imagine. And thank God I didn't drown. Thank God I didn't drown.
I mean, after talking to you for a bit and getting to know you a little, I find it very hard to even believe that you would drown in any situation that, for that matter. All right.
Oh
So
my.
you're currently working as a blended early intervention teacher, right? So that is, you provide specialized instruction and support to young children with development delays or disabilities, right? So
Mhm.
in your experience, what strategies have you found most effective to enhance learning outcomes and promote development progress in your students?
So for my students, they are more of diversified students, and it means one way, one strategy, it doesn't work, because they are children with different needs, and each one of them, they are different and they are special in their own way. So this is one way that I've treated them, like, okay, this kids is they're coming to me. One, each one is an individual. So I do with them at an individual level, like, okay, this person, they love to do this and they love to do that. So I try and incorporate that environment whereby they get to be who they are in my class. I wish I had a picture of my class so that you would see even my classroom environment. It's different from the typical class environment where you would walk into. So that's one of the strategies that I use. I use sensory, I use visual, I use more hands-on activities with them. And also, I make sure that they have that space where they decompress themselves. And so that, when you are in an environment where you are accepted,
Mhm.
you thrive.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of one of my students. I had one student whom I worked with the very first year I joined in my school. And
Mhm.
this student found it very hard to sit. He could not sit for a long time in a chair. And most, like, the classroom where he was then, they found it difficult to, like, okay, how are we going to manage his behavior? And there I was like, okay, so you are one person who doesn't know, doesn't know, like, your body, it doesn't allow you to sit for a long time. How am I going to deal with you? So in my class, I have decided to have more space
Mhm.
so that he would move around. And
Oh.
whilst he's moving, I'll be accommodating him. So there is more accommodations, there is more modifications that I do in my class. There is more of differentiation based on that child's needs. I have one interesting case of one child who's very good with math. Like, if you give
Okay.
him math, he will literally close his eyes and do, like this, and
Okay.
he will just give an answer. Yeah, but when it comes to reading, he's so drained whenever he sees letters or even writing.
Mm-mm-mm.
So
Mm.
this is what one strategy that I've been using with him. like, okay, how am I going to help you to love reading? First, we do a positive talk before we start, like, I can do it, I can do anything, I believe in myself, I can do it. And then after we do the tappings, because they love to tap most of the time. So
Okay.
now it has helped him a lot to, engage and get interested in reading, because before it was so stressful for him. So these are some of the strategies that I'm using, like according to a child's needs, according to how they learn, because not everyone learns by like the same
Yeah,
way we do.
absolutely.
So it's all according to their style of learning. So those are the strategies that I'm using in my class. And so far, I've seen them really working. And I have, because my class, they are not in my class for a permanent time. So
Mm-hmm.
they graduate and they go back to class. And I have got success stories whereby kids, after getting confidence, just confidence, they went back to class. And then they joined the rest of the classroom. So those are one of the strategies that I've been using in my class and in my career.
Nice. So tell me,
Yeah.
how many students do you have in your class at a time? Like, I mean, because the way you're approaching it, it feels like you're putting a lot of time into ensuring that every child gets a different experience, a specialized experience, a personalized experience. So I'm just like trying to figure out like how many students do you normally have at one go in your class?
So basically, I started off with 10 kids.
Mm,
And then currently, I'm now doing more of intervention from KG to grade 5. It's no longer
okay.
KG alone.
Hmm.
It's no longer KG alone. And the kids will come to me, they'll be like a group of three,
Okay.
maximum four.
Okay.
So it will not only be academics. I'm also focusing on the social emotional development of these
Hmm.
kids. So you'd find if I put them in a bigger group, it will become
Yeah.
unmanageable, because
Yes.
they have got high needs, you
Yes.
know. So it's a bit challenging to me at times, because if you see my timetable, it's back to back, and
Hmm.
I'm dealing with different levels. Like one child might be in grade 5 on a KG level,
Yeah.
or one child will be in KG on a grade 2 level. So my lessons, they're always, different
Yeah.
each and every period. They are different. So you can imagine the load of the lesson plans that I have to make, the load of most of the administrative work that I have to do. Like I do a lot of testing so that I can check their progress and all that
Hmm.
stuff. So it's a lot, but it's a fun thing to do when I'm with them,
I'm sure it's
because I
also
always,
very rewarding at the same time.
yeah, I always celebrate the little things, the least things that neurotypical people would say, it, can you celebrate a child who just jumped one box to the next? I celebrate those things. Yeah,
Absolutely
because,
right.
yeah, and those kind of things are the things that makes me look forward to going back to work. In as much as I have a lot of administrative work to do, when I'm in class with them, oh, it's like heaven to me. I'll be having lots of fun with them.
Nice. That's amazing. And your strategies, like I said, it sounds incredibly effective and so personalized, and the amount of care you put into giving each of these children, the space that they need, it's incredible. And now, speaking of your background, you're not just a blended early intervention teacher. You also have a diploma in special education and have also earned certificates in CAPS Level C, SENCO, and Applied Behavior Analysis. So, given your extensive background and qualifications, what prompted you to pursue the PGCPL qualification?
So, as I said before, when I started teaching, it was more like someone who was thrown in the deep end, like,
Yeah.
here's your class, Ka. So, since that time, I've been teaching, and then I was like, okay, let me do cash level 3. I did my cash level 3, and when I was there, I was being given more kids who are, neurodiversified, and that made me like, okay, let me go and do Senko. I did my Senko, and I'm like, this is not enough. I need to learn more about these neurodiversified kids. And then there I was, I did my diploma in special education needs. Even though I have my youth and development, it also incorporates almost everything. And then whilst I was teaching, I realized like, no, this is not enough. I am teaching, but I don't really understand the things that I'm doing, you know.
Okay.
And then, because usually our principal will do like a whole staff meeting and he'll be giving strategies, like, oh, in the classroom, you can do this strategy, you can do this strategy. I'm like, oh, okay. I really look forward to his meetings because I have something to learn from him. And then there was a time when I was like, how can I make myself a better teacher, even though I have got all these qualifications and all that stuff? That's when in my school, they always talk about PGCTL from Suraasa. I'm like, okay. I remember that time I was even pregnant. I was like, let's go for it. I want to do this PGCTL. I really want to know what pedagogy is. I really want to know how, to do more things in my career, how to impact more lives.
Hmm.
Because even if I'm doing specialized education, I still need to use those strategies, that a teacher with neurotypical kids would use. And
Hmm.
in my line of work, I need to do lots of assessments, and I learned a lot as well when I was like, okay, let me do PGCTL. So all of this were more like a drive to me to say, Scar, do not be comfortable with what you have. You still can learn more with the teaching and learning experience from PGCTL. So that's why I was motivated to do it. Yeah.
Amazing. So, Sunny, so your dedication to continuous learning and upskilling yourself and keeping yourself updated with the latest teaching strategies, it's just amazing and so inspiring. Like it's quite clear that you're also passionate. You're so passionate about what you do. Like you just love, like I can see how much you love it by the way you talk about it. Okay. And what I'd like you to do is like, can you share how you see the future of education, especially in the context of special needs and early years? Like, what do you see the future of it is?
I think looking at how everyone is talking about inclusion, well-being, I believe when it comes to special education and children of determination in education, it's really going to like boom, and everyone, I think we might not even have that need of saying, okay, let's go and create a class specialized for these kids. I believe with the way that everyone is talking about inclusion and special education, all schools, they are going to embrace they are going to accept, and they are going to see a student as an individual,
Mm.
they're going to see that, okay, we might be different, but we are very special in our own way. Because this is what I believe with the way that I've seen the way inclusion has been growing. And when I started and reflecting back to now, it's really improving. And I've also realized that even the kids who have got who are not able to write, they're now given opportunities to just use technology. So that's how people with determination are being involved now. It's no longer like, okay, they don't know how to do this, so there's nothing we can do about it. But with the way technology is, growing, with the way people are so hungry to learn more and wanting to help, kids with determination, this program of special education inclusion, it's going to flourish. Everyone is going to feel accepted and motivated. This is the future that I see because of the experiences that I've been through. Like now, no one is like, oh, this one is autistic. Because I remember back then when I started, no parent wanted a child to be, um, involved in a class with neurotypical kids. They'll be like, oh, what will my child learn from this one? But with the way the education is evolving, now even parents are included in it. They feel like, okay, so they can learn from this one. They can also, there's now more of inclusion. And if we are talking about inclusion now, what do you think inclusion will look like in the future? It will be just something of the past, like, oh, there was inclusion, that? So this is what I believe inclusion is going to be like. Everyone will begin to understand and accept each and every child as they are, you know. So this is how I believe the future will really, really look like. And education is not throwing them away like, they are pulling them in, they are pulling them in, they are pulling even the corporate world. Now they're able to do a lot of things in the corporate world. So you'd find that it's no longer where they're like, no, you stay at home. They are now more exposed, and it's coming big and big and big. So it's gonna be like just like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, um, you're right in saying like inclusion and the way that we look at children who have learning disabilities, all of those things have changed so much over the past, I think, over the past
Yeah.
decade. Because, like you say,
Yeah.
even when I was in school, no one knew that there were things like this, that there was such a thing called
Yeah.
learning disability, or
Yeah.
there were kids with short attention span, or people knew that
Mm.
there were kids with short attention span, but they just wrote it off to them being restless, and that was it.
They'll
No
just
one
call them
tried to
naughty.
Exactly, nobody tried to look a little
Mm.
deeper and actually make the environment more suited for them to be able to thrive as well. So they would
Mm.
get written off as kids who don't study well, who need to put in more work, and that would really, I'm sure that really stressed them out. And
Yeah, yeah, it does.
and now with the change in how in the change in teaching strategies and the development of more research and things like that, it's amazing to see that everyone is included. You don't have to
Yeah,
be above average. You don't have to be a really smart student. You can be whatever you want and
you
still
want to be.
get access to education and be able to thrive, which is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is amazing. I love the way it is now. Like we begin to understand that, oh no, this is not being naughty. It's not that a child wants to do this. It's
Yep.
not their fault that they're like this. So we can help them. So because of that thrive and that, the heart that people now have, the future of these kids, it's really, really bright.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can just see that. Like even with the way that you're talking about how education has changed and uh the what do you say, the amount of studies that you can do just to make sure that you are doing the right things for them. It just
Yeah.
shows how much things are going to change in the near future. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing to know and hear. So all this while we've been talking about education and the future of education, what you do, how it is impacting your students' life, all of those things. How about we lighten the mood a little and talk about some fun things? So, being a teacher means having so many stories in your bag. Every day is a different day. Every day has its own trials, challenges, and fun incidents. So, I'm sure you've encountered your fair share of hilarity in the classroom. So, can you tell us about one of those moments, something that always makes you laugh whenever you remember it?
Um, Let me try to think. My kids are super fun. Like every day, every day you've got something to laugh about. Oh yeah, I'll give an example. Um, when I like last year when I started PGCPL, I think I told you that I was pregnant and all that
Yes.
stuff. So one of the kids came to me and they were like, Miss Car, why is your tummy growing so big every day? And they are they are so curious, like really curious. So I was like, oh, there's a baby in here. And ever since they knew that there was a baby in my tummy, everyone in their houses knew that Miss Car had a baby. And one of the students used to do like this. Whenever they walk, they pass through a hospital, they'll be like, oh, let's go to that hospital. Miss Car is in that hospital, you know? So it's one of those like the relationship that I have with my kids, it is so close that they feel like I'm one of their family members. Even their parents are like, Miss Ka, how much these kids love you. One of the parents is like, oh, Miss Ka, you don't know what happened to your daughter. I'm like, oh, now I have a daughter in school, you know. So those are the kind of relationship that I have with my students. And I had one student. He's really stressed with writing because his fine motor skills have not yet developed and all that stuff.
Mm.
So when it comes to writing time, he'll be like, oh, Miss Car, I cannot do this. I cannot do it. And then before I even say anything, one of the students will be like, hey, just look around Miss Car's door. Don't you see that it's written, we have to try our best? Let's try our best. They talk as if they are adults. They
Wow.
encourage each other. They're like, they're like, look, it's written, you need to try your best. So let's try our best. And then if they find one of their students is like one of my students is struggling with something, they'll be like, Miska, can I go and help? And then I'll be like,
Wow.
but you haven't finished your task. You know, you haven't finished your task. I know you really want to help. First, finish your task. Then you can go and help. And that motivates them. They'll be like, okay, I'll do it super fast, And then
Wow.
when they're done, they'll go and then they help. And then they're like, oh, did you see that I helped out? Did it work out, Miss Kind? I'm like, yeah, it worked out really well. So it's one of those moments in class where I'm like, I'm dealing with young kids, but they feel like they're adults inside a kid's bodies. So it's one of those things that I
It's
always deal
so
with and
nice.
always look forward to.
I mean, they sound like you said, they're kids, but they sound like they have so much empathy for each other, which is not something
Yeah,
you
they
find in
do.
kids, very like young kids. Because I mean, when I was in school, kids were bullies. Like kids can be really harsh, really mean.
Yeah.
And your kids, like, they're so
Yeah.
amazing. Like, I love the one where you said that, one of your kids is struggling with the writing, and the other one was like, look around the door. It says we've got to try our best. I mean, like, wow. Like, just wow. I am just wow. Like, that's not
Yeah.
something you
They
hear.
always amaze me.
So, wow.
They
My mind is
always
just
amaze
blown.
me.
Your story literally just made my
Yeah.
day, made my weekend. Amazing.
Yeah. They are just amazing kids. They
Oh
are
my
amazing.
God. Amazing. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, we're almost at the final segment of our podcast. So this is the rapid fire round. Here, what we'll do is
Hmm.
I'll ask you 10 quick questions and you have to answer them very quickly. Okay, that
Okay.
means you have to respond immediately, whatever comes to your mind when I pop the question. Okay,
Okay.
so you have 120 seconds to answer all of them.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
yes, 120 seconds. Okay, so I'm also going to time you. I don't think I can't remember anybody actually uh like winning this session, because like usually all our guests, uh, everybody that I've had on the podcast are teachers, right? Everyone I asked, they always like, they always take a minute to think about it. So in that minute, we're done with time.
It's always like that. You'll be processing the information, you know.
Okay,
It's good
so
for us to do it to the kids, but when it's happening to us, it'll be like, oopsie daisy.
okay, so I'm gonna start the clock. Okay, and you got 120
Okay.
seconds, 10 questions.
Okay.
Okay, first thing that pops in your mind. Okay, let's
Okay.
start. So, if not a teacher, what would you be?
A youth worker.
Okay, are you a coffee person or a tea person?
Coffee.
Okay, what's the most important
Okay.
item that you carry, that you always carry as a teacher?
My notepad. My
Okay,
sticky notes.
one word you would use to describe Suraasa.
Professional.
Okay, if you could have a celebrity in your classroom, who would it be? It could be any celebrity, actor, sports
Professional.
person, author, fashion designer, anybody.
Tyler Perry.
Okay, Maria. I think he acted in Maria, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Yes, Maria really knows how to teach you stuff.
Yeah.
One teaching advice or formula that you follow.
Mm, differentiation.
Okay. Share a funny nickname that your students have given you or you have given to any of your students.
Scar. They call me Scar from Lion the King.
Nice. A book every person should read.
Let's just say the Bible.
Yes, a lot of moral stories in there.
Lots of moral stories there. Because none of the books that I've read are popping in. It's like my mind just froze, you know?
I put you on the spot there, didn't I?
Imagine. Really? Can you do that to me? Why are you doing this to me?
It's called the fun session. It's the fun round. So yes, this is part of the fun. So I've got one last question, which is an app that you use as a teacher on an everyday basis.
Quizzes, EduTech, Ed Puzzle.
Nice, nice. You still haven't given me the
Mhm.
answer to the superpower that you want
For
to
my
have in.
superpowers,
Yes. As in, if you could have a superpower in the classroom, what would it be?
a power that will make my kids to be able to read super fast. So I would like to be like Flash, so that they'll be like, they're reading super fast.
And
Yeah.
then you'd also have to follow them super fast as well. So we'd have a class full of flashes.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. I'm always super fast.
Amazing. Oh my God, that was such a fun round. Definitely very entertaining. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh God. But what's one of your favorite books though that you've read?
Ah, there's one book. I'm trying to remember the title. It's a kid's book
Mm-hmm.
that's written, I can do it, I can do anything.
Okay.
In that book, it's about a boy
Mm-hmm.
who's like, oh, can I do this? And the mom will be like, yes, you can do it. Can I do this? Yes, you can do it. So from that story, it's a book that I even bought for my son. From that story, it's something that is driving me up until now. And
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I instill in my students. Like, yes, you have got this challenge, but you can do anything. You can be anyone you want to be in the future. So it's one of my favorite books that I feel like even as an adult, it might look as like, how can an adult read such a young kid's book? But it is so motivational. It gives a child or even an adult that psychological kick that I can do anything. I just need to believe in myself. I just need to try. So it's one of my favorite books. Like in my class, it's there. In my home, it's there. And with my son, we read that book every evening. Every evening, we read that book apart from his own storybooks. So it's one of my favorite books. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right to say that. Like we think that as adults, we don't have to read such inspirational children's books, but they have so much meaning in them,
Mm,
right? I mean, we also have
yeah.
those days where we're like, I just can't do this. I just can't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
having something that says that you can, you just need to believe in it and take it like one step at a time makes
Mm,
a lot of difference.
yeah. Because looking at me, I had no background of working with a blended class, like
Yeah.
kids with different needs, and because it's different from just kids with who are neurodiversified, but it was a class of five and neurotypical kids, but it with different levels. And I was like, can I do it? So I had to believe in myself first before I even believed in the kids that they can do it. So I had to make sure that I believed in myself that, oh, yes, I can do it. I can do it. So it's one of those favorite books. Even on my door, it's one of, you know, the statements on my door. Whenever they walk in, they see that statement. I can do it. We try our best. We work as a team, believe in yourself so that when they walk in, they have that positivity in their minds. And it really
You
works.
create that positivity, that positive thinking, the positive thoughts even before they sit down in your class.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
It's,
Amazing.
when a child is confident, when a child is confident, they can excel in their academics.
Mhm.
Because I've realized some of the kids that come to my class, it's not that they don't know how to do it, they just don't believe in themselves. One student, I remember when she came, I was told, maybe this one is because English is the second language, that's why she cannot do much stuff in academics and all. That's why she's very low. I worked with her. I developed good relationship with her, and her confidence, it started booming. It started booming. And now in class, she is thriving. So she's
Wow.
one of my success stories. And when I gave my report, I told them this was all because of self-confidence. Like it, low self-esteem was blocking her mind. But
Mm,
because she was now confident, her mind started opening up, started, processing things, and then boom, she's out of the intervention class. So it's one
nice.
of those success stories about being positive.
Amazing. That's so great to hear. That's so great to hear. Now, before we end the podcast today, I'd like you to share a message with all the aspiring teachers out there. Like, what would you like
Mhm.
to tell them why they should pursue teaching?
Um, to all those who are interested in teaching or who will like me, who will like, I'll never do teaching. One thing about teaching, it is so rewarding. You have a sense of purpose that you are playing a very big role in changing the lives of the children. And you are shaping the future. Because if I'm dealing with a young child who's doing like this when they're doing math, it shows they're going to be someone very big in the future. And when I look at them later on, I'll be like, oh, this child or this man or this doctor or professor passed through my hands. It is something that is rewarding, and you get to learn every day. You get to grow every day. If you're someone who likes growing, who likes learning, teaching is one of your areas. Because even if you look at me with PGCTL, I learned a lot of things. I learned a lot of things that I can not only use in my teaching, but also like in the corporate world. So it's it's really rewarding. You feel valued, you feel respected, you feel accepted. Like a child is accepting me, a parent is accepting me. It's different from the corporate world where you just have one person you're trying to please a customer, and if you don't please them, your day it's already down. But if you are teaching, just look at my smile. This is how I'm like every single day. Your young person will just keep booming. So yeah, teaching is super cool and super good. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for those wonderful words of motivation, Kanijo. And thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest on our podcast today. I had an absolute blast talking to you. It was so much fun. We learned so much about blended learning and the new strategies in special education. So thank you for being such a sport and playing along in our rapid fire round.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's been such an honor. I enjoyed myself. You're such a lovely
Uh,
host.
Thank you so
Thank
much. I
you.
really enjoyed having you on the podcast today. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I have. I will be back soon with another guest on our show. Until then, keep your passion for teaching alive. This is Michelle Dennis and Skanizo. See you next time. Bye bye.
Awesome.